A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories. Our top focus still remains on Nepal. We'll be getting you all details from there and be joined by a correspondent as well. I'm Tracy Shilshi and let's head straight to the headlines. Nepal death toll near 6,300, with villages near the epicenter still out of reach of rescue teams. Nepal Army Chief says the death toll may touch 15,000. The UN agencies begin sending in aid. Nepalese President Ram Baran Yadav expresses gratitude to the global community for coming to Nepal's aid, assures strong rehabilitation and repair measure to get the devastated country back on its feet. Black money bill to unearth funds stashed overseas to be introduced in the Lok Sabha next week, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. India voices strong objection to the US Commission report that says India has failed to protect religious freedom, says it takes no cognizance of a report based on a limited understanding of India. And on International Labour Day, unions and workers' rights organizations around the world staged marches and rallies demanding better work conditions. Our top story: nearly 6,300 people are now declared dead in Nepal, with authorities indicating that the figure is still far short of what could be the actual death toll. The Nepal Army Chief himself said close to 15,000 people may be dead as rescue teams from around the world scramble to locate survivors in the debris. But areas near the epicenter still remain virtually cut off. Here's the latest.
Village Gorkha among those near the epicenter of the April 25th earthquake, making it among the worst hit. It's also among those still almost cut off from rescue workers coming in. Roads to Gorkha are almost completely destroyed. The odd air sortie brings in some supplies, far from enough.
ढली होला तल झर्यो थियो चामल अलिअलि थियो अब हिजोसम्म त खाइएको थियो अब अहिले चाहिँ अब समस्या नै पर्न लागिसक्यो.
A lot revolves now around aid coming in from around the world. Coordinating distribution and transportation to interior areas will also be critical. In the past 2 days, the World Food Programme and its affiliate corporations donated over 100 tons of food to the worst hit districts, while the UN Children's Fund delivered nearly 30 tons of supplies, including tents, water purification tablets, and first aid and hygiene kits. Pulling devastated areas and relief camps out of insanitation and lurking disease will also be an uphill task.
रोगहरुको सम्भावना चाहिँ अब किन नहुनु अब यहाँ फोहोर त्यस्तै छ वातावरण इन्भाइरोमेन्ट पोल्युसन छ अहिले अब तपाईको पानी शुद्ध पानी खान पाइरहेको अवस्था छैन औषधिहरु भएर पनि कस्तो औषधि खानी के औषधि खानी भन्ने कुरा एउटा ज्ञान छैन नलेज छैन त्यसकारणले पनि
India's Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval reached quake-hit Kathmandu on Friday to assess relief operations and the situation in the capital. They carried out aerial surveys of zones still struggling to limp out of the devastation. India has the largest rescue team in Nepal, followed by China, to help in rescue and relief operations.
जहाँ पर ये अर्थक्वेक डेवास्टेड एरियाज थे हमने और फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी और एम्बेसडर साहब हम सब लोगों ने उसका दौरा किया और काफी क्षति हुई है लेकिन बहुत अच्छा काम भी हो रहा है बहुत अधिक काम नेपालीज आर्मी और इंडियन आर्मी मिलकर बहुत वहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं.
In Kathmandu, even alongside people eager to get out of the city, some areas are looking at moving towards normalcy. Not easy, with access to basic facilities and rations, a tough ask. Some areas, though, like the Nepal University, have slowly started the process of drawing up repair plans.
We are forming a team also here in the university itself to work for the rehabilitation part of our university. So we are working on that, and our students are very much understanding in this case.
At the many mountain base camps and in the cities and villages, it's a long road to revival, with some estimates putting the cost figure at $2 billion and a time of several years. Even a start in that direction looks an arduous one for now. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
We have many more special reports from Nepal, but before that, let's quickly speak to Amritanshu Rai, our correspondent who is in Kathmandu, joining us now on the phone line from there. Amritanshu, give us a sense really of where Kathmandu stands this evening. Until yesterday, you were saying that life was slowly returning to normal, but how difficult is it looking for people to actually get back to normal?
The morning was a normal morning in Kathmandu. People were going to work, banks were open, transactions were happening, and in fact the number of shops that opened up today were much more, and traffic on the road was much higher than what it was yesterday. In fact, the real voluntary work began today, where students and college students and other people and community got together and started clearing roads of trash and other stuff that was lying around, so that an epidemic could be prevented. And precaution was being taken at various levels. Now that's Kathmandu and around area. But relief work outside Kathmandu, that is the hinterland,
Yes.
that is where the epicenter was, that continues to be a challenge. Today was the first day where Kathmandu did not, or Nepal did not see rains or pre-monsoons. So helicopter sorties were much more in number, and real impact of relief actually was felt today. Yeah.
All right. Are you also being able to speak to people on the ground, as far as, the way the government is trying to handle all that aid that's actually coming in? The UN itself also starting its aid, starting from today. It's almost a week on now. How is the government actually trying to deal and, give away in a proper manner all the relief that's coming in from the global community?
The airport in Kathmandu, the Tribhuvan International Airport, has got very limited capability. It just has one airstrip and just has, can have 9 big aircrafts at any one time, not more than that. And the same is the case with helicopters. And since that's the only gateway to Nepal as of now, the Tribhuvan Airport, it is really crucial. So most of the aid is stuck at warehouses and other airports and is trickling in gradually, because the airport can absorb only so much and not a lot. So
Yes.
there is a limit to the kind of relief work that's getting in. Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Amritanshu Rai, thanks so much for joining us and getting us all those details there from Kathmandu. Stay safe and, continue sending us those special reports. Meanwhile, at the moment, Nepal really in dire need of tents and medical supplies, especially antibiotics. Relief workers say that their momentum also could be severely hampered with an approaching monsoon, which could hit the Himalayan country within 3 weeks from now. Here are the details.
Nepal is racing against time to provide much-needed shelter to the needy in rural areas. It has only 30 days to arrange tents before the rains arrive and make the hilly terrain totally inhospitable. The United Nations issued a flash appeal keeping in mind the approaching monsoons. According to its estimates, over 8 million people are affected. Nearly 5 lakh people need shelter urgently. About 6 lakh houses have been damaged and 2 lakh people are displaced.
जिस जगह पे रह रहा हूं अभी, हमारे घर के सामने करीब 400 लोग जमा हुए थे टेंट में. हम सब लोग ने हाथ बटाया, अपने अपने तरफ से जो सहयोग कर सकते कर लिए.
With 900 people working on the ground, India has the largest contingent of relief workers, followed by China. Indian relief workers have been more successful, mainly due to their familiarity with both the terrain and the local language.
This mask is cheap and easily available and is the precaution relating to challenges which Nepal faces on the health front. So if you're traveling to Nepal, do get one of these and ensure that you use it while you are here. Amritanshu Rai, Pashupatinath Temple, Kathmandu.
And Amritanshu Rai, in fact, spoke exclusively to Nepal's President Ram Baran Yadav on the ongoing humanitarian crisis and how Nepal is tackling the growing demand for relief and rehabilitation. Yadav said that the main problem is difficulty in reaching some of the remote parts of the country to provide relief.
I'm here in the President House in Kathmandu, and I have with me His Excellency the President of Nepal, Dr. Rambaran Yadav. Sir, the first question is the way the earthquake happened and the needs. That was something that the international community could not identify as to what Nepal really needed.
गवर्नमेंट एसेस करते जा रहा है और गवर्नमेंट का जो नीड होगा उसके अनुसार अपने मित्र राष्ट्र लोगों से, जैसे भारत हो, चीन हो और संसार के हमारे मित्र राष्ट्र हैं, उन लोगों से अपना लेते जाएंगे। लेकिन एक्चुअली जो है, जो रेस्क्यू रिलीफ उसके बाद का फेज में आपको रिहेबिलिटेशन और रिकंस्ट्रक्शन, तो बेसिक तो यही है।
काठमांडू से बाहर जो दूर दराज के इलाके हैं, जहां पर एपी सेंटर है, जहां पे क्षति ज्यादा हुई है, वैसे जगहों पर रिलीफ बहुत धीरे धीरे पहुंच पा रहा है।
तो आप जानते हैं कि ये एपी सेंटर हिमाल में हुआ है, हिमालय एरिया में हुआ है। डिफिकल्ट, बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट एरिया है वो। तो काठमांडू तो इजी जगह है, लेकिन इतना डिवास्टेशन हुआ, इसलिए डिफिकल्टीज है। जो आप कह रहे हैं, जो कि नेपाली जनता सब क्या कहते हैं, यूनाइटेड है, संपूर्ण नेपाल, हम नेपाली यूनाइटेड है और इसको फेस कर रहे हैं। राहत नहीं पहुंच रहा है, रेस्क्यू हो रहा है, इसलिए ये दिक्कत है हमारे सामने।
In 3 weeks' time, monsoon is going to strike Nepal. In that scenario, relief and rehabilitation work is going to become more difficult.
Whatever may be the season, we'll have to work, because this is the calamities and the national natural calamities, and it is our national duty how to overcome. So I can assure you that the strength of our Nepali people and with the coordination of the international community, we must have to reach that place, and we must reach there. That is our duty, and we can, as a president, I can tell that I will have to reach, and I will reach there.
Thank you very much for talking to Raj Sabha TV, sir. Thank you very much.
And back home, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today said that the government will push for a new law in Lok Sabha next week to unearth funds stashed abroad. In a stern warning to offenders, he said that it would not be possible for anyone to hide unaccounted wealth, as the international community is planning to put in place a mechanism for automatic exchange of information by 2017. The government has introduced the Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets Bill, which provides for heavy penalty and stiff punishment of up to 10 years for stashing unaccounted funds abroad. There will also be a window to help persons having such funds abroad to come clean by paying tax and penalty. He said that the government has initiated prosecution against 121 offenders.
Next week, I intend to take up before Parliament the law with regard to taxation on undisclosed assets and incomes abroad. There are a large number of prosecutions against those offenders whose accounts were informed to Government of India, which have been filed in the last few months. I understand correctly, the assessments of hundreds of those cases has been completed.
The centre has also stepped up its efforts to communicate its concerns over crop damage due to unseasonal rains and allay fears over the proposed land bill. Home Minister Rajnath Singh toured Uttar Pradesh today addressing farmers. This comes at a time when some of BJP's allies too have questioned the proposed Land Acquisition Act.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh has decided to take the lead in communicating the centre's concerns over crop damage due to unseasonal rains. He's on a tour to Uttar Pradesh on Friday, meeting affected farmers and providing relief. He assured them that the centre will provide financial assistance to those affected. He also urged the states to chip in with some help.
पहला काम तो चटपट जो भारत सरकार कर सकती है वो कर देना चाहिए। यह आदेश निर्गत कर दिया जाना चाहिए कि चाहे गेहूं का रंग जो भी हो, सबकी खरीद की जाएगी और उसी कीमत पर खरीद की जाएगी, कोई उसमें अंतर नहीं किया जाएगा। और शायद अखबारों के माध्यम से आपको जानकारी हो गई होगी कि भारत सरकार ने यह फैसला कर लिया है और सभी राज्य सरकारों को यह निर्देश जारी कर दिया। राज्य सरकारों को आदेश आ गया हम लोगों का, जो राज्य सरकारों का नुकसान होगा उसकी भरपाई केंद्र करेगा, यह भी कह दिया।
Rajnath Singh's tour comes at a time when ruling BJP is questioned over the proposed land acquisition bill. The Home Minister also allayed fears that the proposed legislation is anti-farmer. He claimed that the centre has already taken steps to help the farmers in crisis.
आमदनी बीमा योजना लागू किए जाने का फार्मूला तैयार किया जाए। अब वो तैयार हो रहा है ताकि इसे होगा क्या? होगा ये ओले पड़ गए, आग लग गई, वर्षा हो गई, फसल बर्बाद हो गई, तो कम से कम किसान को यह भरोसा रहे कि भाई सब बर्बाद हो जाएगा तब भी हमको 1 एकड़ में 10,000 15,000 रुपया जो हमारे खेत की आमदनी तय है वह जो है बीमा कंपनी से हमको मिल जाए। तो आप सबसे मैं विनम्रता पूर्वक किसान होने के नाते एक अपील करना चाहता हूं कि पूरे गांव के लोग साथ खड़े होकर उसको ढाढ़स बढ़ाइए, लेकिन आत्महत्या करने के लिए वो मजबूर न हो, ये पूरे गांव के लोगों के द्वारा कोशिश होनी चाहिए। मैं यह आप सब लोगों से अपील करना चाहता हूं।
Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had urged BJP MPs to counter the opposition's charges on the land bill before the second half of the budget session resumed. But it seems some of its own allies are still not convinced. Akali Dal hopes BJP will call an NDA meeting soon to clear the air.
ये सरकार एनडीए की सरकार है, ये केवल बीजेपी की सरकार नहीं है। इसलिए अगर एनडीए को कॉन्फिडेंस में नहीं रखेंगे तो कम्युनिकेशन गैप बनेगा।
The government has so far issued 2 ordinances on the land bill. The second ordinance, reissued with amendments after Rajya Sabha was prorogued, has not been passed by either of the houses. With barely a week left for the current session to end, time is running out for the government to pass the bill at least in Lok Sabha. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And coming up next, Yoga Guru Baba Ramdev rejects charges that medicine sold by his pharmacy guarantees a male child amid demands to ban it.
A sensitive issue, an explosive debate. NDA minister says marital rape can't be a crime. Are there different kinds of rapes? Shouldn't marital rape be a punishable offence? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, opposition parties have upped the ante on the issue of hike in the prices of petroleum products. Oil marketing companies had yesterday hiked the prices of petrol by almost 4 rupees and diesel by 2 rupees 37 paise per litre. Demanding a rollback in prices, Congress accused the government of willfully passing on the burden to the common man, while other parties questioned the hefty hike. Left parties threatened more protests over the latest hike in fuel prices.
सूझबूझ की है या ये बोझ की सरकार है? ये तो बोझ की सरकार है, बूझ की नहीं। बोझ की क्यों? क्योंकि इन्होंने करीब करीब सबसे ज्यादा मात्रा में पेट्रोल और डीजल की कीमतें बढ़ाई हैं।
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर दाम नहीं बढ़े तो भारत सरकार ने दाम क्यों बढ़ाए? और फिर पार्लियामेंट के बाहर घोषणा नहीं करना चाहिए? जब पार्लियामेंट है तो सदन में घोषणा करना चाहिए। और अगर दाम बढ़े भी थे तो जो एक्साइज ड्यूटी इन्होंने 4 बार में बढ़ाई उसको घटा देते, लेकिन देश पे बोझ तो न डालते।
And not just political parties, the steep hike in retail prices of diesel and petrol from last night has come as a shock for the middle-class consumers as well, that were getting used to moderation of prices of these commodities. However, the trend seems to have reversed in the last 3 months as international crude prices have gone up by nearly 1/3 during this period. Take a look.
Net energy importers like India have reaped immense benefit due to acute moderation in crude oil prices over the last year. Crude prices had come down from a high of over $105 a barrel during March-April last year to close to $45 a barrel in January this year. However, since then, the trend seems to have reversed. In the last 3 months, crude prices have gone up by nearly $20 a barrel.
Over the month, prices have gone up a bit and rupee has also depreciated. So together, it required increasing prices by so much. So I think that will keep happening. So equally, when it comes down, they'll correct prices. Although in the last 1 year, they've not fully passed on reduction in global oil prices, but they are fully passing on the increase, it seems.
The increase in crude oil prices has put pressure on retail prices of diesel and petrol, forcing the hike on Thursday night. Price of ATF was also marginally increased on Friday. Economists say global factors are pushing up crude prices.
I do not subscribe, and my own analysis of the oil market shows it's not necessary that the oil price will stabilize to $40 or less than $40 a barrel, but I'm sure it'll stabilize to $59, $60 a barrel in about next few months.
India dismantled the administered price regime for petrol and diesel in 2002. Retail prices of petrol and diesel till then were fixed by the government. However, the UPA government reintroduced the administered price regime in 2004. Petrol prices were again deregulated in June 2010 and diesel was decontrolled in October last year. In September 2013, retail price of petrol had touched its peak at 76 rupees a litre in Delhi. It softened to 56 rupees a litre in February this year. The latest hike has again taken it beyond the psychologically important mark of 60 rupees a litre in Delhi. Krishnanand Tripathi's report for Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, a day after uproar in Rajya Sabha when Ayurvedic medicine guaranteeing the birth of a male child, Yoga Guru Baba Ramdev dismissed allegations that his chain of Ayurvedic medicines had anything to do with it. Here's more.
On Thursday, JDU MP KC Tyagi raised the issue in Rajya Sabha, showing packets of this Ayurvedic medicine named Putra Jeevak Bij, sold by Yoga Guru Ramdev's pharmacy. On Friday, Ramdev claimed the name of the medicine is spreading a misconception and that it does not aim to help a woman bear a male child. He rejected the allegations leveled against him and the pharmacy that the medicine is illegal and unconstitutional.
अश्वगंधा खाकर के घोड़े की जैसी ताकत आदमी में आ जाती है। अब अश्वगंधा का मतलब थोड़ी बाबा घोड़ा घोट रहा है दवाई के अंदर। सर्पगंधा का मतलब थोड़ी बाबा सांप पीस के लोगों को खिला रहा है। गोक्षुर का मतलब थोड़ी कि गाय के खून का पाउडर बना करके लोगों को हम खिला रहे हैं। दारूबंदी का मतलब थोड़ी को हम दारू खिला रहे हैं, उसका नाम वो है। इस तरह की भ्रांतियां उनसे बहुत पीड़ा होती है कि लोग संसद में जाएं तो थोड़ा होमवर्क करके जाएं।
But voices opposing the sale of these medicines are growing louder. The Haryana government, which recently offered him to be the brand ambassador of the state, criticized Ramdev.
रामदेव जी की जो दवाई है, जो औषधि है, उसका नाम ही पुत्र बीजक बीज है। मुझे उस पर आपत्ति है। इसका नाम संतान बीजक बीज रखें तो मुझे कोई ऐतराज नहीं हो।
हमने उनको कहा कि इसका नाम कुछ बदल कर रख सकते हैं क्या? उनका कहना ये प्राचीन नाम है और मेरा दिया हुआ नाम नहीं है, इसलिए मेरा अधिकार नहीं है इसको नाम को बदलने का। तो ये उनकी ओर से विषय है।
Ayurveda should not be made controversial. With regard to a name of a particular Ayurvedic medicine, what is the status, whether it's been there for thousands of years or hundreds of years, or if it's a new name, that could be a matter of discussion between those whoever have a stake in such a subject. But on the larger issue, Ayurveda should not be made controversial or politicized in any way.
Amid the growing controversy, Consumer Affairs Minister Ram Vilas Paswan said that the Home Ministry has asked to look into the matter.
और मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि इसको देखेंगे, मिनिस्टर ने कहा जांच करेंगे कि जो उन्होंने कहा है तो उनका कहने का मतलब क्या है। दवाई सिर्फ एक बच्चा लड़का पैदा करने के लिए है या दवाई का कंटेंट्स खराब है, क्या है, वो गलत मुद्दा है।
The government had agreed to look into the matter in Rajya Sabha on Thursday. The opposition had demanded to ban the medicine and sought stringent action against the manufacturers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India today reacted coldly to the report of the US Commission on Religious Freedom that criticizes the government, saying it was based on a limited understanding of India, its constitution and its society. The US Commission for International Religious Freedom, which is a congressional body, in its annual report for 2015, placed India amid more than 30 countries that meet a systematic, ongoing and egregious standard for failing to protect religious freedom.
The annual report released on Thursday by the US Commission on International Religious Freedoms lists India among 30 nations failing to protect religious freedoms. It's particularly critical of the Indian government. It raises concern over Hindu nationalist groups for programs of forced conversion, Ghar Wapsi, attacks on churches and hate campaigns against Muslim minorities. It retains India's status as a Tier 2 country of concern on religious freedom. On its part, India has summarily rejected the report, a reaction stronger than last time when it had ignored the document as internal documentation. A statement from the Ministry of External Affairs said, and I quote, "India takes no cognizance of a US report passing judgment on religious freedom. The report appears to be based on limited understanding of India, its constitution and society." Members of the ruling party have voiced anger at the report, calling it interference in India's internal affairs, saying it made no difference to anyone.
भारतीय संस्कृति, समाज, संस्कार और संविधान से जो लोग अनभिज्ञ हैं, अनजान हैं, वो भारत के सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द और धार्मिक आजादी का सर्टिफिकेट दें तो वो ठीक नहीं है.
Opposition parties have also echoed sentiments on non-cognizance of such a report. Security experts say the US cannot comment on India as it itself struggles with racial unrest. Others point out that there is a need to introspect.
India also has to introspect because over the last few years, not in recent months, there has been a perception that the minorities are not getting the kind of justice that the Indian Constitution mandates. Now, whether we talk about quote-unquote the average Muslim perception in India, or for that matter the recent attack on some of the churches and the way in which the Christians have also felt, these cannot be brushed away.
The Congressional Commission that gave the report is an independent bipartisan body that has no legislative or executive powers itself. But there is no doubting the feathers it has ruffled. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Workers around the globe today took to the streets to mark Labour Day. Thousands marched in rallies in Indonesia and the Philippines, where workers live on less than $2 a day, to demand higher minimum wages and job protection. In South Korea, thousands of workers held rallies vowing to wage an all-out general strike if the government pushes through with its planned labour reforms. In Taiwan, protesters threw smoke bombs near the presidential office during a workers' rally, while in Hong Kong, domestic helpers were out in force to seek greater rights.
2休1的县市来说，我们要连续上班48小时，所以常常一个晚上一天你根本连5个小时你都睡眠休息都不到。那这样会导致说我们消防人员开車就是一個過勞，等同一個酒駕的情形，是非常危險的。Dapat maitaas ang sahod, yung aming pambansang minimum wage na 16,000 sa lahat ng uring manggagawa. Yun yung aming kahilingan, pagbabawal sa kontraktualisasyon at gawing regular yung mga manggagawang kaswal.
And that's all we could pack in on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night.